wants to tame me. You can't catch me on the run, cause I'm gone, yeah. I blaze trails, set fire to what's behind me. No, I'm never looking back, I'm on the run. I could only ever be what I'm made to be. It feels good when I'm living on the edge. Watch me now, go like thunder, gonna shake the ground. Can't stop me now, I don't give up and I won't back down. I'm a force of nature, can't be contained. I got lightning running all through my veins. Watch me now, watch me now.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Milam. I'm from Canova, West Virginia. When I'm back home, you'll find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Hey, Buckhannon, get ready for Jimbo's Place and the WolfMan's Call. Monday, August 7th, downtown Buckhannon. Jimbo's Place is the grand opening, man. Show kicks off at 4. So does Jimbo's Place. Be there or be square on the WolfMan's Call. Boom! Hello and welcome to the WolfMan's Call. I'm the Wolfman, Dale Wolfley, and boy, do we have a day for you. It is Monday, August 7th. Man, we are rocking and rolling. You see that network right there? It's huge. You know why it's huge? Because we got Jimbo's Place in Buckhannon. Now, don't get confused. There are 2 Jimbo's Places. One's in Buckhannon, opening up today. It's the grand opening. And, of course, then we have Jimbo's Place in Elkins, West Virginia. We're at the Buckhannon Place right there on Canal Street, and it's a grand opening. It's huge, a lot going on. The food is absolutely fantastic, and I'm telling you right now, man, this place is awesome. Awesome. Come on down. They got food. They got the drinks, whatever you want. It's Jimbo's Place in Buckhannon. So, again, so much going on over the weekend, but grand opening at Jimbo's Place, we can't forget, we have Northern Eagle Beverages sponsor, baby. That's the Anheuser-Busch products. Yeah, you know what it is. You got it. You know Anheuser-Busch, man, sponsoring this down here, Jimbo's Place. Come on down, get your beers, get your Michelob's, get your Bud Light, get your Budweiser, man. Be a house, Budweiser, right? Here you go, sponsor of the WolfMan's Call, along with Parmar Stores. Well, let's go ahead and keep going on this. This is a big day. You know, I'm looking at here, and I'm seeing this, and I keep wanting to go ahead and search. And when I search this and I look at it, and I'm seeing that, you know what? I have a panel today. We got Big 12 expansion. We got Neil Brown talking. We got so many things happening. So let's check out with the panel. Before I do, I want to go ahead and bring this video on up, and that is this. With the voice of college football, go ahead and open this up and look at this right here. Yeah, man, right there. You can sign up to the Voice of College Football West Virginia on YouTube, baby. That's right. There you go. It's the network. We bring in Twisted Rooster. We bring in so many guys from all the different Pac-5, well, the Pac-4 now, right? We got the Big 10. You got the Big 12. Maybe it's the Big 16, but we're going to be talking about all that today. It's very exciting. Really fired up, and let's get it going on. I have a panel. You know, on Mondays, it's the Frank Fear Hour. Not quite an hour, but we try to get it. He's the historian, author. He's with the sports column. He's publishing. Just fantastic. We love him, and we're going to bring him on, and let's get it going now. Frank Fear, how you doing, Frank?
Hey, Wolf, it's always good seeing you.
Oh, boy, right on cue, brother. Very good. Again, so we got Frank Fair, historian, author, Band of Brothers, the sports column. He's just a major dude. And next, I'm looking down the line here. We got our usual Darryl Prue, WVU Hoops Hall of Fame, on vacation again. What's up there, Hoop Man? Where you at, brother? Come on, talk to me. He's on vacation. There he goes. We'll keep it on there, see what happens. And our strength and conditioning Hall of Famer, you know who it is. Al Johnson. Yeah, you got your volume off again?
Yeah, I had the volume off. My fault. I'm in Ocean City. How you doing, Dale? How you doing, Frank?
Listen, we're doing good. Yeah, we're doing good, man. But you really, you're a Hall of Famer. You got to represent better than that. All right? You got to know when your volume's not working and when it is. Okay, now we got our strength and conditioning Hall of Famer, USA, baby. The former WVU Mountaineer strength and conditioning, my strength and conditioning coach. Geesh. All right. And we got Al Johnson, who was also head of the CCA. What's up, Coach Johnson?
What's up, Wolf? What's up, Frank? Daryl, how you guys doing today?
Doing good, Al.
Good to see you guys.
Excellent.
Hey, Dale, I don't think Al saw me my shirt out of me right now.
I'll tell you what, man. I saw this shirt off. I always started worrying it was going to be Kenny Zerr again. Right there. There. All right, man. Well, listen, last but not least, we have attorney extraordinaire coming over here to Jimbo's place in Buckhannon. And he's with, wait, I got to get this. Snell and Wilbur. He's the largest attorney in the United States. I love it, Snell Wilbur. But he is a partner. He is a Mountaineer. He's from deep down south there in Logan County, West Virginia, but he lives in Phoenix as he's a partner to that law firm. And he knows exactly what's going on at ASU. Ooh, ASU, right? And U of A. Lee Fraley. What's up, Lee? Hello.
Hey, Del. Thanks for having me on here. Just a chance. My day finally came. It took a collapse of a conference to get me on the show. But thanks for getting me on. And good seeing you, Al, Frank, and Daryl again.
Well, absolutely, Lee. And you know what, man, is, let's jump off real quick here before we do anything else. And that is, I want to show you this because Lee is a long-time, I guess, Mountaineer fan, but he's also a long-time donor, which we'll get into. But I want to show you all this here because I know you've all been to a game or two. And coming to that game, it can get very, very expensive.
Expensive game day experiences in college football. From tickets to parking to food and drinks, being a college football fan is not cheap, but some fan bases are spending a little bit more than others. Let's break it down. At number 5 most expensive game day experience in college football is Missouri. Fans spend an average of $241 per game. At number 4 is Texas, with Longhorn fans spending an average of $242 per game. Third on the list is Notre Dame. Touchdown Jesus isn't cheap, guys. The average game day in South Bend will run you about $261. At number 2, West Virginia. This was surprising to me. Taking those country roads to Morgantown every Saturday, not cheap. It'll run you $264. And number 1 most expensive game day experience in college football is at Oklahoma. Game days in Norman, Oklahoma cost you $276 on average.
Oh, man. Ouch. I'm going to go with you, Lee, right off the bat. Are you kidding? Because I know when you come in, you have to throw the bucks around because you're coming from Phoenix, Arizona. And, you're a donor, so they all want to get you there to go ahead and donate. But you leave Morgantown, you don't even have any money left.
That's right, Dale. It's not the actual game or the tailgating. It's the MAC and CRT and the others, coming to see what I can do to help. That's the cost. But it's because you give where the heart is, and that's where the heart is. They certainly pull on the strings, and winning certainly helps.
Yeah, I see behind you got West Virginia up top, but then you got the Steelers helmet, and then you got the Cardinals right there, along with a few basketballs, because I know you're a hoopster as well. Don't worry, DP. He gives just as much. He might give more to basketball than he does football. All right, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I can see that you're all that because you did live in Pittsburgh. Hey, Lee, real quick, just tell us where you're from.
Well, originally I grew up in Mingo County. That's where I was raised. Good roommate of mine, actually. I think you've had him on, Johnny Artisan Grange, the brand I know that from time to time has been affiliated. But I grew up in Mingo County, moved to Pittsburgh for about 9 years. never wavered in my fandom for West Virginia. But when you move 26 years away, it's hard to keep in touch. I really owe it all to Wolf because it wasn't, for probably 15 years, I was really not going back to games, just following online a little bit. And then Wolf came out for the Fiesta Bowl. And, once you meet Wolf, it's contagious. Before I know it, he had me back in Morgantown and had me signing up Century Club and all the other things. So I owe him in a couple things, but one is just meeting so many great people like yourself. So
yeah, you know what you owe me, man? You owe me a nice big Sunday, brother. A Sunday, what I want, and I love to come home because I know how much you love the Steelers too, because you worked for 10 years in Pittsburgh. I thought you were Logan County, but you're Mingo County.
Mingo County. It's right next door.
Close enough. I just got myself in trouble. All right, very good. All right. We love to have you again. You are a partner in law firm down there at Schnell and Wilmer, and it is one of the largest attorney-based partnerships in the country. So I know you got your thumb on everything because I'm showing the professional teams behind you because you're there. You're with the Suns. You're with the Cardinals. You come back. You're doing so much, but that also lets you have all that information. But before we go there, I got to go back to Frank Fear because we got to start. It's Monday, and that means it's the Frank Fear Hour. Hello, Frank.
Hey, good to see you guys. What a panel.
I know, it's a fabulous five. You never know who's going to be in that fabulous five. Even if we'll let Al Johnson get in there, even though he's a weighthead. But no, hey, you know what? Hey, but kudos to Coach Johnson. He had family issues last week. He wasn't on. But hey, Al, we're thinking about you, man. We know you got through it, buddy. So just wanted you to know. Let me pop you up here so I can tell everybody that we love you very much. And we're thinking about you and your family, okay?
Yes,
all
sir.
Right. Excellent. All right, Frank, we're back on it, man. Let's go. You want to talk 53 to 55. WVU dominance over Penn State. Our Pappy Lewis and what it was, because it was an impressive team.
Well, it really was. In writing the book, Band of Brothers, I went back in time. And, West Virginia before, Pappy came in 1950. And from my perspective, I think that's the beginning of the modern era of football for West Virginia. And before that, 25 years before that, Mountaineers were pretty much of a 500 team. Win one, lose one, right around 500. And Pappy wasn't all that successful the first couple of years, but boy, oh boy, when he kicked into gear from 1953 to 1958, wow. Not only were they great teams, but great players. But the thing about it, though, is that one of the tidbits about Art Pappy Lewis, he came to West Virginia directly from Mississippi State, where he was a line coach. But before that, he was a head coach at Washington and Lee, which was in the Southern Conference when West Virginia joined. He wasn't very successful there, but he was a pro player and a pro coach for the Cleveland Rams. You know where the Rams are now. They're not in Cleveland. They're in Los Angeles. He was and still is the youngest coach in NFL history. He was a head coach in the NFL at 28.
Wow.
Amazing. Unfortunately, the guy, actually, after he left West Virginia, he was a scout for Pittsburgh, died very young, I think in his mid-50s. But he's a legend. And if you have that picture there that I sent you, I mean, that picture that you're seeing there is, he was an incredible recruiter. And in fact, the Saturday Evening Post, which was a staple back then, and which Norman Rockwell graphics, photos, paintings rather, on the front. Here he is. He's with the Hillen family in Smock, Pennsylvania.
Wait, what family is that? Right? Say it again. What family?
Smock, Pennsylvania. Hillen, Hillen.
Okay.
Jim Hillen, and you can see him there in the white shirt. And he's recruiting through the mom, which he was great at. And he was a hell of a recruiter. They did a spread on him, Art Pappy Lewis. I bought this photo. It's in the book from the Saturday Evening Post. And they did a feature article on him, calling him the best college football recruiter in the country. And when you look at the 1953 team, Freddie Wyatt at quarterback, Joe Marconi was a running back, Gene Lamone, Sam Huff, Bruce Bosley, Joe Papetti, Bill Underdonk, Bill Hillen. I'm not sure what the relationship was to Jim. Jim played later as a lineman. Bill was an end. But and the other thing I love about this guy, there were 30 West Virginia boys on that team. 30 guys. 30 guys. Counted them the other day. I'm not kidding you. But, he started slowly at West Virginia, and you got to give the AD at the time, a guy by the name of Roy Legs Hawley, a lot of credit because he rolled the dice on this guy. Even though he was an NFL coach, he wasn't successful, had a losing record in several years at Washington and Lee. Came to Morgantown, first 2 years weren't so good, and then, boom. Boy, he really took off. And I think, as most people know, West Virginia beat Penn State 3 years in a row, 53, 54, 55. Leading up to that.
Frank? What were the scores?
Pardon?
What were the scores?
Well, the one that I'm going to talk about is 21-19. I can't remember the 54. They blew out Penn State the third year.
That was
so they
21-7. 5, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, the first one was close.
Before you get going, let me go ahead and talk about that with our Pappy Lewis. And I'm going to go head off right to you, Al Johnson, because you're from Parkersburg. And you're old enough to remember our Pappy Lewis to some degree, are you not? It was a little bit before you, but can you not remember the football teams then? Hello,
yes.
Al? Yeah.
Yes, I do. Hey, I do. I mean, I remember, my oldest brother was recruited by Art Pappy Lewis. And
I didn't know that.
Was recruited, and he was, they went to a local hotel downtown. They weighed him. My brother was a little bit light in the pants. And that time they'd have a scale at this hotel where the local kids, they'd bring local recruits in, and he was too light in the pants. And so he ended up, wasn't heavy enough to go to WU, but went on to play at Marshall.
Hey, Coach, I got to tell you this. Do you remember when I was a little light in the pants my freshman year as an offensive lineman? And,
Yes.
And you caught me with a 10-pound dumbbell in my pants?
Yeah. Trying to cheat when we weighed you in. Yeah, I remember that.
It was on the rear end. All right, there we go. DP, what do you say about that, man? 53 to 55. We dominated Penn State, brother. You didn't hear that around your time at school until it was 84 and 88. I don't know. I think he's sitting there daydreaming and all. All right, Fraley, go ahead. You're old enough. Go ahead. Find out. What do you think, Fraley?
Well, I don't remember the 53, 55. I was about a decade after.
Well, your hair looks like you do.
That's true. And certainly the last few years have affected the hairline. But, that run was amazing when you read about it. And it was interesting. I guess we kicked the crap out of them that last game because we didn't win another one for about 30 years, did we?
No.
It was a dry spell. That's why you remember the game being brought up. Now it's sort of a memory. I always thought it was interesting, Frank, how folks, when he talked about recruiting all those guys, although we were West Virginia players, it wasn't like you just drove 30 minutes to get there. They were long drives. Right? It was quite an effort to get around those players to find them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Frank, let's continue on, brother.
Well, that 53 team, the reason I picked it out, because I know we have so much to talk about today, is that was the season that culminated in the Sugar Bowl. That was really the first major bowl that West Virginia was in. West Virginia didn't win that game. And another tidbit, the punter on the Georgia Tech team was a guy by the name of Jim Carlin, who later coached at West Virginia, obviously, about a decade later. But the thing about that 1953 game was that West Virginia went into that game undefeated, and they were 7-0, and so they played Penn State at Penn State late in October, and they were losing at half, 12-6. And if you have a chance, go on YouTube, WVU Sports, and you'll see Freddie Wyan talk about that game, and he said, going into the third quarter, I didn't think we had a chance. I thought we were going to lose. And then Bruce Bosley blocked a punt, one of 3 fumbles that West Virginia pounced on. West Virginia scored twice and won the game 21-19. And what's interesting about that is that Penn State pretty much dominated the game. They had about 400 yards to West Virginia's 200, but boy, that defense, they were all over the field. And a guy I don't know much about by the name of Bill Marker basically had the game of his life. Wyatt only completed 9 passes that day. 5 were to Marker. He had on that day alone 126 yards. He only had 300 on the season. But boy, he came through. And I want to read this to you because I love going into the New York Times to their time vault. This is what the lead-in was on November 1st, 1953. Dateline State College, Pennsylvania. West Virginia, the 5th-ranked team in the country and number 1 on offense, bogged down on the ground and needed a blocked punt recovered in the end zone to defeat Penn State 2019. And I didn't know this. The victory extended college football's longest major winning streak to 12. You know, you're a Mountaineer. You're proud of what those guys did back then. Really proud of a guy like Pappy Lewis. And as I said, I think it was the beginning of the modern era. It set the foundation. Then Carlin and Bobby Bowden came in, and we know the rest of the story with Don Nealon. But I think it's a great story in Mountaineer history and in college football.
No, I do too, man. I love the fact that Al Justin, I had no idea that his brother was recruited by that. That is so cool. They weighed him in there down at the hotel. Well, you know, things never change. If it's 1950, if it's 2000, you know, if you're a little light in the can, coaches want to know. If you're a little heavy in the can, coaches want to know because they want you right there where they do. And we got Timothy Green here, fellas, and he says, "Hey, Wolfman, what's up? It's gonna be a great show, 100, baby." Well, I'll tell you what, when you got the Fabulous 5 here, and we're at Jimbo's place in Buckhannon, West Virginia, the food is absolutely unbelievable. I want you to take a look here. Let me just show you this, just so you can all see here and know what I am going to eat afterwards. And again, it is absolutely amazing. Can you see all that? I'm not sure if you can see all that, but it's pretty crazy. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm not even showing it right. There we go. Okay. These are garlic Parmesan wings. This is Jimbo's place. There, I see. Oh, I can see it. Oh, man. Great. Hey, Coach Johnson, 3 bills coming up, baby. 3 bills right there. And
there you go.
Awesome. And they have some fantastic sandwiches. You can't go wrong here at Jimbo's place. And, of course, we have Eagle Beverage, Northern Eagle Beverages, Anheuser-Busch products. Get out there giving giveaways here. Well, you got to come down. If you're anywhere near, and I don't even care if you're at Jimbo's place in Elkins. If you're at Jimbo's place, you got to get down to Jimbo's place in Buckhannon. I think it's fairly close, at least over the next holler or whatever it is, or the next mountain, right? And if you come down, you got to do it, man. Really appreciate this. Scotty Parks, we got Jimmy Pointer right here. Thanks so much. And we'll be bringing him out a little bit later. And then again, but let's go ahead and get back to it. You know, he's talking about our Pappy Lewis, the 53 to 55 team, the team that dominated. Let me ask you this. Before we move on to what's going on today, I can see Fraley's ready to bite his lip off. He's chomping at the bit here. I know he's got something to say about me with this ASU AD. I know he does. He's just waiting. But let me say this. You know, what happened that we lost 29 years in a row? Anyone want to go with that one? Because we dominated 53 to 55, and when I played, and you know, we beat them. When my brother Ronnie played, we beat Coach Johnson. I got to give you credit. That was your time. All right, so you have to share that glory as well, and everybody shares that glory as fans. So, Frank, I know that you were a fan and you were there with Coach Bowden, and you were the recruiting academic guy. I mean, you know, that's a point that I think needs to be brought out more is when recruits came in for football, you were the person that the parents and the recruits talked to about academics with WVU. So, again, all of you are tied in. Even Fraley's tied in. And I can tell you story after story of him enhancing the WVU Mountaineer experience. All right, so everybody's tied in and bringing up the Mountaineers. But there was a 29-year period. 29-year period, and we did suffer. Go ahead, Frank. I'll let you hear that story.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've only beaten Penn State 9 times. My background, I think, I was born in Syracuse. Some of you do. Grew up in Western New York, so was born in Central New York. Was a Syracuse fan, obviously, being born in Syracuse, then became a WVU fan, living in Western New York and going to West Virginia. Penn State was not the top of the list. And then I found myself years later interviewing for a faculty job at Penn State, and it was interesting. It was like I was walking into enemy territory. And so, the feeling always is, if you're a Syracuse fan, a Pitt fan, West Virginia fan, back in those days in particular, beating Penn State was the top priority. And West Virginia didn't do it very often. And you're right. After 1955, it was lean years 29 until 1984. And so that phrase finally means a lot of, it just means a lot. Talent has a lot to do with it, obviously. But it's a different day, and we have another chance just in a couple weeks.
Well, that's for sure. And you know what, Al? It's like this, man. Is Penn State, we did beat them, but those years that they beat us. But when we went to Penn State, like 87, 89, we should have beat them, man. They got us. I say it, okay? They got me. And that's why I keep saying about the team this year is there's more than just talent to going to Happy Valley. You have to overcome all of the distractions. And I mean the crowd distractions. I mean that stupid every time you get a first down. You hear that crap. You want to go and punch somebody that's wearing blue and white. You know what I mean? It's like it drives you insane. You have to go ahead. It's so tough that you have to overcome those issues of distraction to go ahead and perform. Am I right, Coach?
There's no question. And, Wolf, you bring up a great point. I think, at that time, maybe even currently, that's one of the largest venues in the country in terms of fan base in the stadium. And, and probably there's times like, I know we beat them in 84 in Morgantown, but I think that
88 as well.
It takes a different animal. It takes a different animal. It takes a different perspective.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game when you go into their stadium, in the Beaver Stadium. And it's, the thing that fans don't realize, the visiting locker room, it's not normal. You go under the stadium and you go through the crowd to get to your locker room. And so they have the area roped off and have, security police taking you back. I remember one time when we went there to play and they escorted us out for pregame, back into the locker room just before the game. When we came back in at halftime, I think we were down by maybe a touchdown. We had no security, had no police. So we're weaving in. Here's our entire travel squad and coaches weaving in and out of the crowd to get back to the locker room, which was insane. And then once you got in the locker room, the head coach, Coach Nealon, couldn't address the entire team in one area. They were segmented into two separate areas. And when the band played, whatever Coach Nealon said, you couldn't hear it. You talk about an intimidating place to play, but it's all about, one of those things where, you play against a team with a great tradition and you're facing Joe Paul and et cetera. It's a thing that mentally between the ears is, we were as talented, should have beat him and didn't, because I think, our guys, when we weren't ready, the moment was too big, maybe.
Yeah, no, you're right. Look what we got here. Mike Rollins. Frank Fear is the best. Oh, I'll tell you what, you're right about that. Our historian and author. And how about this?
Hey, Mike Rollins is terrific himself.
One more for Mike
We exchange a lot on Facebook. Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Did you invite the Arizona AD to the show? No, I did not. And no, I don't care. So many people are like, man, you got to go ahead and, you got to get tougher. You're a sissy man. That's what they called me, a sissy man. And I want to say, Coach Johnson, am I a sissy man? Because I don't feel like a sissy man. But what I don't like are people that are head of institutions in academics, okay, whether it be the president, be the head of a department. I don't like classless. I don't like it. Now, if that makes me a sissy man, don't worry. As one says, I got some cojones, okay? And if you want, you come to Morgantown, you can find out. You know what I'm saying? All right, so regardless, let's talk about this AD now. Lee, I'm going to start off with you. What's going on with Mr. Ray down there? Because people are saying he was just joking and stuff. And what's the response?
Well, I haven't. I saw the clip, and I'm not sure. Again, that was his best moment, but I think he was trying to be funny. Always, when I hear things like that, Wolf, about West Virginia, I know it's from people who have never been there, never spent time. If you've been there, I think even the AD Rand just put out today a nice video. It's a clip, but it was a beautiful sunset. And again, it's about West Virginia's got so much to offer, not just the weather, the location, it's the people. And when they make those comments, it's sort of cliche-ish, and they're trying to be be comedians, but it wasn't funny. And I assume he'll at some point apologize and come back, but whatever. If not, it's his loss.
I don't care, okay? But I want to say, and what I care about is that they're kind of an average program in my mind.
Well, the problem is I think they've been historically average. I don't know if they've had that many winning seasons. I look back, I don't think they've had over 8 to 9 wins. And it's an apathy here. I think it's something for the sports. I like in the city for ASU the way Pittsburgh is to Pitt. It's number 5 on the list, or 6. There's so many other things to offer. Now, Tucson, on the other hand, you got a whole nother animal. I mean, that is a college
Especially
town.
basketball, right?
Basketball, but at football, even with football, they've had better success than on the football field the last, dozen years. In the Rich Rod era, they did well, but they nearly packed that place even when they're losing. I think they've had under 500 record the last 7 or 8 years, and they're close to 90-95% capacity. They're fans.
Yeah, and they're nothing like, because when Rich Rod in 2014, he was Pac-12 Coach of the Year. So again, haven't had that success since then, I don't think. But Coach Al, listen, when I was out in Phoenix as the head coach at Phoenix College, and Lee, you were out there with me. I had a dude, right? His name was Tavita Finau, and everybody's gonna say, "Oh, the ghost of Tavita," right? And he's
Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot. We had never seen him. Well, back then I saw him every day when I was there coaching. But the funny thing is that and it's really my fault. I go back to it being my fault because at Phoenix College in the office, I kind of had a shrine built to West Virginia. Now, I didn't mean it like that because I'd have a cross right up at top there, right? But I mean, again, West Virginia was always there. So when all these college coaches would rotate in and be like, want to recruit, they'd be like, oh, you're West Virginia. And my thing was, hey, you go where I don't care where the kid goes. Just go somewhere and be happy, right? That's the whole point of what colleges. But Dennis Erickson was a head coach at ASU. And I remember this. And I remember I had a coach. I'm not going to say his name. I won't blow him in. But he was in my office. Well, I had to meet him out in the football room where I met with team meetings. I had a meeting with Dennis Erickson. I didn't realize he was going to bring his whole staff with him. And they had the ASU symbol on, Lee, like a black shirt. They all were black shirt, but they had the ASU symbols. And they're like, hey, we think that you're making Tavita go to WVU. I said, well, if you know Tavita, you know that nobody tells him what to do regardless. He's a proud Samoan dude that, he's got pride in what he does and where he wants to go, and he'll kick anyone's can in football. That's just the way it is. But they all came and they're trying to intimidate me in my own office or my own football building. And it was like, ever since then, it's like, ASU, why do they always got attitudes? Lee, why do they always got attitudes? Why are they always cocky? I felt like they got the same thing from this AD. And they've been nothing but average. Frank Kush was a great coach, but that was back in the 60s. You know what I mean? That's a great coach. And I'm not here to rip on the program. And I like ASU, but don't come across, because I want to tell you something else. There are 14 other teams that he could have picked out than WVU. They sat there and said, well, it's about the snow. It's about the cold weather. I don't like that. But I'm really looking forward to the rivalries with Colorado, with Utah, with BYU, because it doesn't ever snow or get cold there. Okay? It doesn't snow there. All right? It doesn't snow in Ohio with Cincinnati. It doesn't snow or get cold in Kansas with Kansas or Kansas State. It doesn't snow at Ames, Iowa, the coldest place I've ever been to in my life. Okay, in the middle of winter. It has to be, WVU, the cold and snow. Right? Oh, come on, man. All right, you want to go to UCF because of the sun? Yeah, I might join you there myself. But class is class, and you sit there and you say, well, you're basically, no, I don't like classless. And that's just it. And I'm cool. I don't care what he does. I don't care what he says from this point on. Life is life and whatever. But ASU, you're pretty average.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping whoever has the schedule sends Mr. Anderson the first game, sometime in, late November in Morgantown. That would be beautiful. Now to come up and we don't want to be out here in August and September, though. I can tell you that.
Well, I don't want to be there in September. I can tell you, because I lived there long enough myself to know better, and I'm saying it now. But I hope it doesn't make me classless. I'm not sure if that does or not. But regardless, I've really enjoyed that. But let's get down to the reality of this. Okay, it's the Big 12, man. Big 12 and bust. Before we do, I got to do a 30-second commercial with Abby Pearson, Parmar Stores, NIL, name, image, likeness. Lee, I don't know if you know this, it follows from Phoenix. The Parmar Stores are in 5 states around here, man, and they're kicking can for WVU. And go ahead, Abby, gymnast.
Hi, I'm Abby Pearson from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Parmar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Parmar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Parmar app and sign up for the Parmar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Parmar stores.
If there's not a Parmar store near you now, there will be soon.
Ah, nice. Okay, very good. Well, before we get started on that, let's go ahead right here and show this. The Truth, ACC holding meetings on adding Cal and Stanford per Pete. How do you say that name, Lee? Is it Thamel?
Thamel, I guess. Just a guess.
Okay, very good. I had to. All right, what do you guys think about that right there, right off the bat? You think Cal and Stanford, ACC? Frank, go ahead.
Well, those are 2 outstanding academic schools, Forbes ranked schools, and they have Stanford and Cal ranked number 2 in the country. I mean, Cal is arguably the best public university in the country, and Stanford is often ranked number 1 overall. It's 2 now, but it's a great private university. As you know, I spent almost 40 years in the Big Ten. To me, they're Big Ten schools. I'd much rather see them in the Big Ten. I think it's a much better fit, although the ACC has North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and Duke, great schools, Virginia. But still, to me, it makes no, if they're going to take the Oregon and Washington and the 2 LA schools, why not take Cal and Stanford? Because then you have the markets up and down the West Coast, except for San Diego. You've got Portland, Seattle, San Francisco. You'd get San Francisco, and you already have LA. So I would put a vote. They just can't go independent or go to the Mountain West. I'd put a vote in for the Big Ten, well over ACC.
Well, you know what?
Well, go ahead, Dale.
Go ahead, Lee.
I was going to say, I guess the question is whether they get the invite, right? Are they really there? I heard they had the overtures. Then, something has just sort of stopped. I don't know if it's the Big Ten is waiting. I agree with you. Like academically, they're a good fit. And, throwing a jab at them, but they're somewhat mediocre football programs other than had a couple of years. They kind of fit in with Duke and Wake Forest and those occasional kind of teams culturally, not geographically, but I think in terms of academics and those. But I agree with you. There probably makes more sense the Big Ten. I think they got more upside being there. But, we'll see how this plays out. Go ahead, Dale.
Thanks, Lee. I appreciate that. But I want to tell you something, brother. I keep going back to it. I can't wait for that Rutgers-UCLA game. I can't wait for it. You know what I mean? It's coming. And now I guess you could say the Big 12, or is it the Big 16? You could probably say, well, Arizona State, West Virginia being that kind of a distance, or UCF, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That kind of long distance. But again, there's a bigger problem out there, and I'm feeling really bad for it because there's an Oregon State out there who just spent $120 million in revamping their facilities. There's an Oregon State team out there whose baseball team is top 5 premier program. And then you have a Oregon State football team. And this I got my mind changed here by a guy named John Connor out there at Oregon. But I didn't know these things. And there's also an Oregon State team that had double-digit wins last year. And there's a team that would be a real shame, Al Johnson, to put them in the Mountain West. And I'm not ripping on the Mountain West, but again, that's not the Pac-12.
Yeah. It's the whole thing with Cal and Stanford to me is a cry for desperation. It's a desperation move by the ACC because, they're trying to appease Clemson, I think Florida State. thinking, hey, we are trying to do something. But somebody brought up a great point in the last couple of days. I think it was the coach at Louisville. Is that Drinkwitz? Is he at Louisville?
I think so, Al, but I'm not sure. But go ahead.
But he brought up a great point. He talked. What about the other sports besides football? The other Olympic sports that got to play multiple games per week. How does that work in terms of travel? And then if you do something like that, the Big Ten, and of course the Big Ten, the Big 12. Now you've got to go to some division. You got to split them up into divisions some way to accommodate some of the massive travel that's going to take place. And I wonder if the ADs and the chancellors and the presidents took that in consideration when they added some teams that maybe didn't fit in, geographically as far as financially.
All right, so this gets me to the straight point. And like I said, the Arizona State Athletic don't give a hoot about what I think. Who cares? So let's just get over that, all right? It doesn't matter what I say. But what does matter is I think that U of A, and Lee, I'm going to bring this back to you. U of A is a great fit to me in the Big 12. It really is. The Big 12 is all about that being in a city, okay, for the most part. It's about, you go to Ames, Iowa, and it's all about college and about the Cyclones. You go down and you got to go to Baylor. It's all about Baylor, right? It's not about the pro teams in the city like you see in ASU. And I'm not picking on ASU, but at the same time, we have BYU. Why do you need Utah? Why did you need to bring in ASU at this time? What do you think?
They weren't tied at the hip. U of A and ASU wasn't tied at the hip. They're natural rivals. I just think they saw as an opportunity to, I think, Yormark thought opportunity to put the death knell on the Pac-12. If I take these two, they're done. I think it was a matter of who moved first with Oregon and Washington. Both could be sort of to blame, but I think that was part of it. It also gives some excuses or takes some excuses away from ASU if we've got local players, Utah and ASU or U of A. I don't know if you guys saw the travel. Somebody had a really neat Twitter. It was a post about the travel for ASU and the average miles in the Pac-10. And I think it was something like 2,500, 2,800 on average. Under the Big 12, they're going to average like 250 more miles. So it's changing their travel at all. They had the same kind of travel up to Eugene and Washington State and other areas. So I think in terms of geographic, not a big deal for them. And I don't know, again, back to Anderson's point, why he's making a big deal about having to travel to West Virginia.
Well, again, I think of it this way, is that you gave up a long time ago, and this, Frank, you are the academiac here. We gave up a long time ago worrying about student athletes. Go ahead. I mean, it's online schooling and what they're doing, in my opinion. They don't care about going across country here nor there. It's about the dollars. So when you go ahead, you put a UCLA, Rutgers, when you put a Maryland, USC, now you got to go out to Oregon, even if it is to say Columbus, whatever it may be. It's still huge distances. So again, the student athletes really don't matter.
Nope.
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, obviously it's a business. If you think about this as a supermarket, you're going to have loss leaders. I mean, that's just the way it's going to work. And UCLA Rutgers at the Rose Bowl is a loss leader. But what about Michigan against USC at the Coliseum? So it's that trade-off. And the other thing, I'm glad that Al brought up in terms of the secondary sports. Shouldn't say that's not fair. The Olympic sports, excuse me. That was
Hey,
not
you're back on track now, Frank.
Yeah, man, I got to use my language here. Stanford. The athletic directors give out an award every year for the top sports program across sports, men's and women. Stanford has kicked, 18 out of the last 20 years, they won that award. The 2 years they didn't, they finished second. I mean, Stanford has an outstanding athletic program, but it's eyeballs. And that's why Oregon State, I think, Wolf, is an odd person out here. In Portland, you're not gonna see Oregon State T-shirts at every street corner.
Yeah.
So as a consequence, it's we're really looking at this in terms on return on investment.
But
okay, so that's the thing that I'll end with this. This is the thing that I think strange about the ACC going after Cal and Stanford. What is the ROI, particularly in terms of football? So North Carolina is playing Cal. You know,
yeah. Cal's not that big. Stanford has its own prestige. We all recognize that. Okay, they have their own prestige, and why I think they probably could survive as an independent if they had to. Cal cannot. Okay, when you look at Cal's expenses and the revenue that they have, they won't survive. They won't survive because they're not making that money. Either that or Big Daddy in California is going to have to go in more debt for them because they're going to have to bail them out because it's not there. Again, but if you go ahead and you look at the ACC, how does Stanford and Cal raise that dollar figure up when they're only getting 24, 25, maybe I was 26 million? One of those numbers, those three, is the number. How is that going to inject TV money into the ACC? And I'm going to go, Lee, I'll say it right to you.
Well, I just wondered, can they open up I think they have the grant of rights. 3 issues. They're tied for 10 years on those contracts, I think till 35. So it's never been clear if by adding a couple teams, do they get to renegotiate? If on the networks, I say, no, and double, hell no, we're not going to open them up. We got you in on a contract fair at the time and you're bound by it. But I got to think there's some angle why they would be doing it.
Wait, excuse me. I brought you on here because you're a lawyer with the largest law firm, or one of them in the country, and a partner at that. So I want to know. Well, give me something lawyerish.
There's got to be some legal angle behind the scenes. Well, I haven't read their agreement. There's always, it depends. The legal answer is always it depends. But there's got to be something in the agreements that they're looking at. It's more than just adding for the culture. I can tell you the reason ASU and U of A, the other reason here, they were looking to get maybe, they said 20, 22 million. I think it's going to be closer to 17 guaranteed. If they went with Apple, it was all Apple. They had to sell 100 million subscribers to match us. Well, Netflix has 74 million. So think about the chances of them trying to sell a Pac-12 network. It wasn't going to happen. It was his $12 million differential. And that's why ASU came grudgingly. And that's why Utah, it's all money.
So, Al, I understand they came grudgingly. I understand they wanted the Pac to succeed. I wanted the Pac to succeed because I'll be honest with you, those 11 o'clock games, I watched them every Saturday night. I was there watching them until 2 o'clock Eastern time in the morning. So I'm going to be, maybe they still have them, who knows? There's always Hawaii. We always have hope. You know what I mean? But, Al, when you look at that, man, Arizona, great fit. ASU, the Utes, they didn't want to be here. What? And then we got to sit there and it's just, it's a mixed feeling. You know what? How about this? Go be Oregon State, Al. Go see how they feel right now. Hey, ASU, I had a good friend. I love him, Jimmy. I won't even say his last name, out in Phoenix. He's like, it's a mixed bag out here. Well, how about this mixed bag? Let me shake it up. And I'm going to put half of that bag at Oregon State and half of that bag at ASU. And let me just say, who would rather have that bag or that bag? It's going to be, you want it to be in the Big 12. And so, you know what? I don't want you to go ahead and give me anything extra special. I would like to, hey, you know what? Thank you. We came grudgingly. And, they take your average Pac programs and grudgingly go to Oregon State. I mean, that's what I say. I mean, again, no one cares what I think except for me and maybe my mother. Okay, but I know this, Al, is that if you want that, I want a little bit of gratitude along with it. I'm just a polite person. I don't like classless leaders. Leaders that lead are classless. When you sit there and you say, well, I'm not real happy. No wonder why there's a mixed bag to some degree, because leaders lead. And if they lead you into garbage, well, then you might have half and half in garbage. If you lead into, hey, man, this is great. We like this opportunity. We are going to go ahead. We are going to compete. We are going to bring something to the Big 12, now the Big 16, right? We're going to bring something here that you guys are going to be happy that we're here. I'm going to go to UCF, and I'm going to send my assistant over to WVU. Again, it's not, but it's just, it's there. It just gives a bad feeling. It's not a feeling of, I really am happy. Even if you're not, I don't care if you don't, but at least pretend, because you know what? You're a leader of an institution where there's millions of dollars at work here, and relativity. All right, is that being a sissy? Fraley, go ahead. I know you'll take a shot at me.
No, I agree with your points, Wolf. To me, I look at it as I'm more excited about the ones who want to be here. U of A in Colorado with bringing
exactly
them.
Right.
And U of A is going to be all in. I mean, I got dozens of texts talking about when's our first road trip, when we going. I always want to go to Morgantown, and I tell you, basketball is going to bring it. You got Arizona, Kansas. That's going to be just.
How fun is that, right?
That's unbelievable. I mean, 2 teams in the top 5 every year, and from the best basketball conference to just beyond. That to me is the benefit, and culturally they're all going to fit in. And Colorado, Wolf, I think we did a road trip there once. I know I went with Chaz.
Oh my gosh, I tell you, hey, golden baby.
Man, what a Boulder is a wonderful, it's a town it's a college town.
Make sure you go, right?
Absolutely. I'd put that on my trip when West Virginia plays there for folks that haven't been there. Absolutely.
All right. Al Johnson, you've been gone for a couple of weeks here because you were gambling in Vegas. All right. And I want to know, you never got a chance. What do you think of Colorado in the Big 12?
I think for football, I think it's good. I think with what Deion's doing or going to do, I think Colorado will become relevant again. I think they've been very irrelevant the last several years, but I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to raise the bar for the not that the bar needed to be raised, but I think the bar is going to be raised even higher. And I think that recruiting. I just think everything. I just think the brand. I think me personally, I like the idea of Colorado being in it because I think that it's. More competition the better, and I think the competition level is going to raise. Everyone was upset about Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12. Hey, don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out, okay?
Oh, I like what you do.
We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Look at what we've added. Jeez, oh man, unbelievable. But I'm excited. I did the thing you worry about. I'm like you. I worry about the teams left behind. I worry about the Oregon States and the Washington States and Cal and Stanford. I mean, I worry about those teams because, they're loyal to a fault, and maybe the loyalty, maybe they had opportunities along the way to leave, and they didn't.
No doubt about it. I tried to get my assistant over here to go ahead and look over here. She's not paying attention, but hey, we'll get over Jimmy over here, would you?
Wolf, where are you at, by the way, Wolf?
I'm at Jimbo's place in Buckhannon, West Virginia. We got a new sponsor. Of course, we got Palmer stores, but a new sponsor. We got Northern Eagle Beverage, baby, Anheuser-Busch, and all kinds of beverages. It's not just that. They got so much. Scotty Parks there, man. Love you, brother. Thanks for enjoying the WolfMan's call. Because, we got the network. Lee, do you know we have the network going on?
Tell me about it.
Oh my gosh, the network, we have it all, man. We got Jimbo's place, 2 of them, one in Elkins, one in West Virginia. Jimbo, come on over here, buddy.
All right, brother, let me get you a seat here.
We'll go ahead and jump in real quick here. He's going to join the panel. And it's so crowded, we had to take this little small corner here. All right, can you hear? Go ahead, speak ahead.
What's going on, everybody?
Can you hear him?
Hey, Jim.
Yes. Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Hi, fellas.
We got Jimmy Pointer right here now, and Jimmy, you started up. You got Jimbo's place in Elkins, and now you got a Buckhannon. Today's the grand opening. What's the deal here? What's the beverage special? What's the food special?
Today is wing night. Tonight's wing night. We got 8 great I lied already. We got a couple homemade sauces and some store-bought sauces, but they can't be beat. Got jumbo. They're all jumbo wings and. Made to order.
Well, get those wings on. Let's show him again. Get over here. He's proud. This is a proud daddy right here. I'm going to tell you this right now. Can you see that? See that? All right, thumbs are up because you can't see them. No, wait, can you? All right, look at those wings right here. Oh, man. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to go like this.
There we go, Wolf.
Well
done.
Some share here.
All right, guys.
You guys are missing it, man. Right here at Jimbo's place, got the wings going on. Take that, brother.
I'll get you a napkin in a minute.
I don't need a napkin. I'm the wolf man. I'm not a sissy man. I am not. All right.
No, I want to thank you, Wolf, for coming by, man. This is an honor to have you here, for, being here for the grand opening here, Jimbo's in Buckhannon. We're looking forward. I know we had a pretty bad storm that just rolled through here a few minutes ago, so I'm thinking most of the people waited. We got a good little crowd already started, but I know more are on their way, and got a great show, by the way. We support you. My buddy Scott Parks from Northern Eagles over here right now. I know he's supporting you and everything, and we're just glad to be on board with you and your show because it's top notch and we love it, brother. So the only bad thing, I will get you a Dallas Cowboys shirt the next time you're
Yeah, I had Bob Lilly on last week. I had Chuck Holly on, Scott Holly on.
Oh, there we go.
So I had those Cowboys. I had 2 Hall of Famers in the NFL. I think I'm doing pretty good by the Cowboys standard. All right. So we're going to go ahead. All right, real quick.
Yes,
No,
sir.
I'm not going to let you leave just yet, all right? What's your idea of Big 12 expansion? It's Big 16 now, adding U of A, ASU.
I got about 8 opinions on all that.
Well, give me one good one.
I just want to be closer to a conference. I like West Virginia to go to another conference. So when we go to away games, we don't have to travel to Texas and all over the dang place to watch them play away games. That's my opinion.
He totally just screwed me into my whole show. That whole philosophy. It just blew me up. Unbelievable.
No, I listened to you over there. That's why I did that. No.
I love the Big 12. I'm ASU. I want to be here. All right, there we go. I'm excited because I can add to the program. When's the last time ASU won a Pac-12 champion football?
A long time ago.
All right, Frank Kush era. All right, when's the last time ASU won a Pac-12 basketball?
It's been a minute.
Well, you know what, ASU, you better be happy that the Big 12, now the Big 16 is expanding out. And to be quite honest with you, I spent 5 years in Phoenix. Big ASU fan I was. But I will say this, U of A, Fraley, when I was there, I used to go down there, and Stoops was the coach at U of A in football, and he treated me like I was king of the world, and just laid back. And I told you Dennis Erickson's story otherwise. Is it true there's a different attitude at each school?
Absolutely. Just a big brother. Sometimes, U of A is really, I think, the big brother. They certainly are in terms of basketball and most of the other programs. Again, it's just the apathy here for the average fan. I mean, the reason I think we get 60,000 fans at an ASU game is because you got 4 million people here. So you're bound to have a few. When you got 1 million fans, 1 million people down in Tucson. Talk about getting tickets. Basketball, we're not going to be able to. It's going to be a tough ticket when we go to visit. It's hard to get one in for basketball, and
hard to find good assistants around there.
Oh, sorry. Well, Wolf, that's all you bring is you got assistants everywhere.
I do. You know what?
Even to run your show, it's all good.
Sometimes it's good to be the Wolfman. Yeah. All right.
Let's just hear from Al and Frank here. Wolf, you eat your wings and.
No. Hey, listen. He's always wanted to take over the show. He thinks he should be the leader. Because he's a partner in his law firm, and he's on Zoom call. He's like the lead guy. So that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks he's at. Right? He's big time.
He wants to be the wolf.
He wants. I don't know. He wants that, but he wants the control. All right. So as we go with this, let's get back to it, man. Big 16. We're talking about Utah. We're talking about Colorado. Frank, what's the best thing you see now that there's 16? This is actually ASU and Utah came in afterwards, so I actually didn't ask you what you think about it.
Yeah, well, this is one of those moments where universities all over the country, the major schools, are fighting to survive and to find a place where they can fit. I don't buy it, what the University of Washington president said. She didn't say what Deion Sanders did. Deion Sanders said, hey, we're all chasing the bag, money. And that's true. She said, oh, we're searching for stability. Well, stability is the money from the Big Ten. And so that's just the reality. Do I like it? No, I don't. I love college football, the game. I think the industry is not to my liking, but the reality is the only thing I'm concerned about, I'll tell you, is that I wonder how long this clock's going to keep ticking where the stability we have now is going to last. I'm really worried because it's driven by so much money. Schools like West Virginia, how fast can the Mountaineers run to stay up with Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma? Because clearly the NCAA does not have caps like the pros do, financial caps. So it's just more money, more money, more money. There are no limits.
You know, right.
So that's what I'm concerned
Yeah,
about.
excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's exactly what I was talking about with Drew Fabianich, the new general manager and director of scouting for WVU football. I mean, this people don't realize. I put it out twice. Once with Drew, and then once again I put out. Check out the interview. The biggest move since the Big 12 has been this move to find a general manager with almost 20 years of NFL experience, almost 18 years of college football coaching. So he can talk to the coaches, he can talk to the scouting personnel. He's got a reputation. He's had 67 all-pros from people he drafted.
Cowboy.
Yeah, that's our new general manager.
I know that.
Okay, all right. Well, all right. I'm trying to think about the hotness of the wing right now. And it's like, woo! I'm starting to sweat a little bit, trying to get groovy, man. But anyways, so the bottom line is people don't understand. This is a huge, huge thing. And guess what? There's not but only 9 other schools. When has WVU been in the top 10 in a movement? Think about it. Again, WVU top 10 in a movement of where football's going. Like, you're on the curve of being like up there. Woo! Last time it was when they brought in the medical equipment and they did all that on recuperation. You know, and all those stuff that they have and the ice baths and the technical stuff. But this is the biggest thing, bringing a general manager in to tell people. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
He's our Deion Sanders. So many people in Colorado, those players, they go to him because they think, what? Get me to the NFL. This guy knows how to go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, this is what this guy is. And again, Al, what do you think, man? Go ahead. It's WVU, baby.
Well, I think it's a new model. It's creation of a new model that's not in place anywhere in the country, and I think it's cutting edge. I think that and kids today want to know, show me the money and what can you do to help me get to the league, and then now with the Big 12 being bigger, bolder, TV packages, obviously awesome. I think it's only going to help as far as recruiting and be a stepping stone. Kids will look at his perspective of getting to the NFL. But I think it's awesome. I think it's just the way it's laid out, and kids will look to him to help them figure out to get to the next step, get to the next level.
That is huge. I'm telling you right now, mark it down, right? Everybody here, mark it down. I'm telling you right now, this position, top 10, WVU on the curve, leading the country in the way this goes, because you know why? Because this is turning into the NFL. And there's nobody better than running this than a guy that's with the NFL for all those years of respect. Now, before, when Neil Brown brought a transfer portal possibility and a recruit, okay, it's like, okay, how, what's your guys? You haven't put that many people in the NFL. Okay, we can honestly say that. And look at Neil Brown's record. There's not a lot of guys that have been in the NFL. Well, now he goes, well, hey, guess what? This guy here who works for me is now going to help you get to the NFL. Whoa. People, I'm trying to say, I don't know if they know how big of a move this is.
Hey, Wolf, how was this idea presented to the university? I mean, was this Neil Brown? Was this Ren Baker? I mean,
I don't know, but I'm giving kudos to Baker as the athletic director, giving kudos to Neil Brown as the head coach, because again, this is a factor that maybe you won't see in September, but you're gonna see it real soon after. And if you ever go listen to the interview, it's only 25, 30 minutes long, and he's just full of a plethora of information. And I can't stress it enough, and that's going to be a factor of future success for WVU. It's ongoing, it's big, and Ren Baker, the powers that be, Neil Brown, had the foresight to go ahead and jump on this and say, we want to be a part of this bandwagon, and that to me is being proactive. Yeah. That to me is being Big 12 active. That's good. What do you got to say? And I'll let you get out of here because I know you want to get to everybody else.
Yeah, I got to go see. All I got to say is, again, thanks again for everything. Guys, one of these days you're in Buckhannon, come by and see me or Elkins.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Because
I'll be there
I
in
saw two
September.
tornadoes to get here.
Yeah.
All right, talk to you a little bit.
All right, brother. God bless.
Yeah, I was going to say, Wolf, what you guys are talking about now is the kind of advantage that West Virginia is going to have. I don't know if you saw this, another advantage is how the market responds. I don't know if you saw that The Athletic, the major publication, did a survey of all the Big 12, new teams in the Big 12, what's your number one preferred rivalry? You know what came up number one, and nobody was even close, was West Virginia, Colorado in the John Denver Classic. So, you know, players want to play in games like that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the media will wrap their arms around it.
Well,
so you got to have the advantages.
You know, Frank,
You
I would go with that, but we got to be honest here. I'm pretty sure John Denver came from Texas Tech. I think the Texas Tech people might have something to say about that. John Denver, yeah, we all know about Colorado, but I will say I cannot wait. I cannot wait for WVU Colorado because it was a lot of fun the last time and just the experience. You know,
Dale, if I could ask a question from you guys, I'm interested to hear what you guys think about. You know, we're talking about the newest editions, but what about the ones coming in this year? To me, you know, they were getting, this is Houston UCF, 6, 7, 8 million a year from television. Now at 32, that's impactful. I mean, watch them grow.
Now you're going my argument about going to the Big 12 that Jimmy here was saying he wanted to play the locals. All right, because if going local, ACC is going to get you 24, 25 mil. You know, we even got, what was our last one? Frank, was we had 42 mil last year?
Yeah.
Counting
$42 million. We just had $55 million. We took out in loans, improved the facilities, and go with Frank, Olympic Sports Complex over there.
Yeah.
All right? Not anything but Olympic. Just helping you out, brother.
Yeah.
You know, only time.
Lee, the team to watch is UCF. They're kicking it in recruiting. They are predicted to have by far the best record of the new teams this year. Folks in Orlando are crazy about that team. That stadium literally rocks back and forth because of the fans.
It's a new stadium,
they are
too.
so excited.
New stadium, fairly new. Last 10 years, right? All right, what do you guys think about this? Here we go, Al. New Big 16, man. Does this float your boat, man? Does this get you going fired up? Obviously, they got to have divisions, right? That's what ASU said.
Yeah, 2 divisions of 8 teams apiece. But tell you, the 2 teams, actually 3 teams, I'm not as excited about UCF as Frank is. I mean, I'm glad they're there in Houston. But I tell you what, I like the addition of BYU. I think BYU brings a different flavor to the conference. I mean, just like you said earlier. I mean, you think about teams on the West Coast. I mean, if you're on the East Coast, how many people stay up late and watch those games? You know, I mean, what BYU played, where they play at Coastal Carolina about 3-4 years ago. I mean, and what I'm saying is that I think they bring a different flavor. I think they're going to bring a competitiveness to the conference that's needed. But I like Cincinnati, even with Luke Fickell removed to Wisconsin. I think Cincinnati, maybe not this year, maybe 2 or 3 years down the road. I think Cincinnati can be very competitive in this conference.
Yeah.
Well, they were in the Big East with us.
Yeah.
Even back when you and I were working at WVU, where I was playing, you were working. We used to beat Cincinnati 65-6. But that wasn't the case when they joined the Big East in the later years, as they were very competitive, very tough, very physical, and that all started, I believe, with Brian Kelly and went through the years here. But this new Big 16, Frank, what do you like in that? Just tell me what you like, real quick.
Well, you know, you look at those teams, and I keep on saying, you know, I'm living in Big Ten territory here in Michigan. That is a hell of a conference, top to bottom. And you know, I've already made my comments about Houston. I think Houston's got some climbing to do. BYU, I agree with Al. I think, you know, you get into the Rocky Mountains, and it's a different world out there at football. It's almost like I don't want to say a wasteland, but it's tough. It's tough. And BYU has and Utah both have done very, very well. I think when Utah gets in there, I mean, they've won 2 Pac the two Pac-12 championships in a row. They're not picked to do it this year. USC is, but that team has won like I think 20 some games over the last couple of years. They're very, very good. So I think it's going to be very competitive, and it's going to be tough on West Virginia. But if you want to be the best, you got to play the best.
That's right. Well, Fraley, I got something big here. Right here, you can see this. Oh, look at this right here now. Oh, they said, well, here we go. This is the way 2025 National Championship run, January 6th, Atlanta. Well, Fraley, let's start it out, man. What do you think of this year and the teams?
I like it. I like our chance in 2 years to get in the top three. If that's the metric you need to get in, man, that'd be wonderful. You looked at your teams, all on that 16 teams, Wolf, on that slide. My thought was like, who's going to be the doormat in that league? Usually you got like a Duke or you got a Northwestern or a Rutgers, somebody dredging up the bottom, the automatic wins. There's no automatic wins in this new Big 16, particularly going to their site.
All right. So, okay. Well, good question. Who's your doormat?
Anybody but us. I'm hoping it's Texas Tech.
Well, we haven't talked about this on the show, but I don't know if you guys know that the Iowa State starting quarterback is in deep trouble because of gambling. I don't think he's going to be able to play this year. And what's bizarre about that story is that his parents were enabling his gambling habit. And so Iowa State, I love their coach, Matt Campbell. I'm a grad, so obviously I'm a homer about it. But without their starting quarterback, it's going to be tough for Iowa State.
You know who's going to love that? Anthony Beck, AB, man. Rocco's out there, right? Rocco, yeah. All right, move over. What's your name? And we got Beck, and we got an Anthony Beck going. That's our Rocco Beck. All right, I love that idea. So that works there. I like this. Who's your doorman, Al? Who is it?
Houston.
Oh, he didn't even think twice about it.
Houston and Wolf, I think Arizona State and Houston are going to be bottom feeders.
Bottom feeders? All right. Yeah. I like that. Lee?
I think, Arizona State's probably there until they've proven otherwise. I think you start there, and I'd have no problem.
You have no problem? All right. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this. It's got to be ASU. Just for pissing me off. making my weekend.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Fourth down, we got to do that, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, very good. Well, you know what? I think this could be good. I think this is entertaining. I think it's sexy to look at this and think about it. About the top three teams could get a chance to get in. I think it's something to look at. I hope there's some validity to this, and I hope there's some people that are accepting that as well. What else do I got? I have something else. One last thing I want to pull up on this, and I thought it was good. Do I have it? Oh, is it? Oh, by the way, is it Big 12 now or is it Big 16? What are you calling it? Al, what are you calling it, man? What do you want?
Wow. Great question. I can't answer that. I don't know.
You know why? That's what I do. I come up with the great questions.
Yeah, but it's got to be a new logo and a new name without a number, right?
A new name, okay. So that's what you want. All right, Fraley, let's move on to you, brother. What do you got?
Well, it's not quite coast to coast. I know there was once an airplane conference, but we're I gotta be creative, something on the name. I'm kind of tired of the bigs. I don't want to be confused with the Big Ten.
All right.
So I want to come up with something different there, and I don't think you keep the number because we may not be done. We may add 2 more, 4 more.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you use that number anymore.
Okay, so you and Al are taking something and not giving me an answer. Let's see if Frank Fair. Can you give me an answer, Frank Fair?
Hey, I think the branding people would say you got a brand right now. It's recognizable. People know it. Numbers don't mean anything anymore. Big Ten is Big Ten. Whether it grows to 20 teams, I'd say you got it. Stick with the Big 12.
Big 12. All right. Well, that's your answer. And Al Johnson, you got. I'm giving you a chance to come back. No, nothing.
I'll jump on Frank's right. Yeah, I'll jump on.
Hey, Wolf, I'm not biting on it. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm telling you this. I'll tell you what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it Big Country.
I like it.
Boom! Right there, baby.
I like it.
You gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right, man. What else? One more thing. I promised I'd do this about Neil. So let's get your ideas here. Football just started last week. It's huge. Okay, huge. When I say huge, Big 12 expansion. Let's talk about it. Neil Brown, I've been really impressed with Commissioner Brett Yormack because he's about branding, Frank. Exactly what you said. Since he took over, he's been aggressive. But I don't think enough credit goes to Commissioner Bob Bowlesby, too, because of the previous four, because they're not as sexy. UCF, Houston, right? Maybe BYU to L is sexy with them, but again, that's not the big sexy. But it was Bowlesby that created that and first gave the Big 12, in my opinion, real stability in a world where the Pac-12, everything was loosening. So adding those 4 teams, you did lose Oklahoma, you did lose Texas. That's huge. But again, Neil Brown giving a shout out to Commissioner Bowlesby when he was there. What say you, Frank?
Well, I think he's right. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of others, just like I was talking earlier. You have to go back to Pappy Lewis to say, okay, he laid the foundation. And I think Bowlesby did a good job. Now, would Bowlesby be the right person today? Probably not. Things change, and with Yormack, you've got a marketing guy, a media guy, very aggressive. But the fact of the matter is, I 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. All right, Al.
I agree with Frank. I think it's we're heading in the right direction. I think the key, is branding and with the new 4 new teams. We're headed in an upward trajectory.
All right, very good. All right, Mr. Fraley, your choice.
Keeping on with that theme, I think adding the four original schools has really put us in a position to get the contract, the agreement. Because we had the TV, had those 4 teams, we were able to get that extension to 31, and that's what enabled us to now grow and go pitch to California. We beat them to the punch. Had we not taken those 4 schools, I think the Pac-12 would be going after these same schools right now. So we beat them to the punch on there. We beat them to the punch with the agreement. We held the cards, and we went on the offensive. So I think starting with Bowlesby up through Yormack, it was brilliant when you look back.
Well, okay, I'll give kudos to that, but I'm going to tell you this right now. U of A, Colorado's a lot more sexy than Houston or Cincy, baby. All right, I'm going with that. These are my 4 schools. Even if ASU is one of them, that's okay. I've always been a secret Sun Devil fan, regardless. All right, so there we go. Next question. What has impressed him about Rodney Gallagher III? Now, you have to remember, and Coach Al, I'm going to start out with you on this. It says never put pressure on a freshman coming in. You never know how they're going to react. You don't know if they're mature enough, if they're ready, if they're physical. But you see here, Neil Brown said, I've been pleasantly surprised. Rodney's probably put on 12 or 14 pounds since he's been here, which means May to compete. He's blocked a lot better than I anticipated early on because he never had to. Because why? They always threw him the ball. All right, that's pretty obvious. He's been more physical, and he's made a couple really contested catches over the middle. I've been pleased with those 2 aspects. To me, Frank, looking at that says a lot. He did it with C.J. Donaldson last year. Can he do it again?
Absolutely. We've said this over and over the last couple months, actually, and that is getting these kids in and then coaching them up. That's what Mark D'Antonio did at Michigan State, and he's on the Hall of Fame ballot. And I think that's the key for Coach Brown. He's been doing a good job recruiting. They're hanging in there against some really, really tough competition, rated the low 40s. And so I think nationally, and I think that I'm impressed. And I think, maybe I'm more hopeful than impressed, but I am impressed and hopeful.
All right, very good. Fraley, let's go right to you about that. You've been what? No, hang on. You've been the Century Club all those years with Dana Hogerson. You've been there with Neil Brown over there, 19, I forgot the number now, the club. But you've been there. You've seen these players. What's your thought process? If Neil's saying that to the press, whoa, because I don't ever want to put pressure on a freshman. Never do. And he did it expertly last year with C.J. Donaldson. Remember, he brought him in nice and slow through the whole camp until he jumped out at Pitt. What do you think? Is he doing the same thing with Rodney?
I think sometimes I haven't seen him play yet. I've read everything about him and watched him certainly in high school highlights. He appears to be the real deal. I think they come with an expectation they're going to play. And if he totally ignored him and had him earn, I think that might mess with his psyche. So I think it's about trying to get these guys on the right mental level. You're doing things that, that you can compete at this level. How hard is the wide receiver position, by the way, Al and Dale, in terms of strength, getting over? Is that more capable to see a first-year freshman come in and play versus other positions, or is it just as tough as, linebacker or anything else?
Go ahead, Coach Al, because Lee wants to run.
I'm guessing Rodney Gallagher. I mean, I know a little bit about him, but not maybe as much as you guys do, but I'm sure he's a multi-sport athlete. What that tells me that he's probably has not had as much chance for physical development, being in a skilled position and coming in and gaining 12, 14 pounds. You're going to see the most improvement in his career in the first year to year and a half that he's in the program. So his upside, as far as going forward, is going to continue to grow. And it shows you, the importance that, with all the transfer portal and everything else going on in today's college world, college football, it shows you the importance of the strength conditioning coach in terms of give me time. You're talking about a kid that's been in the program with Mike Joseph here for 2 months now. And it shows that, hey, if you have enough time with them and if kids are willing to stick around and willing to work hard, obviously this kid did, and you can see where he's going to reap the benefits. And the other thing, going back, if you said maturity, every kid, you can't, I don't think you can go in and just say, hey, every freshman's going to sit. I think in terms of the maturity level, the physical development, and their skill level, you've got to make a decision. And if you have a deficiency at wide receiver and this kid's has a skill set and you see something in him, you got to play him now. It comes down to one word: win. What's important now? Not tomorrow, now.
Very good. I want to tell you, so my take is this. From a guy that knows how to put 14 pounds on in 2 months, I'm saying that right now, what Neil Brown mentioned him right off the bat, he's including him in his offense. He thinks he's going to be ready to go. We'll see if that happens. But again, him starting right off the bat with that kind of coming out and saying that he's put on that weight, physicality, all those things, that means he's in the game plan, at least right now. Right now, we'll see where it goes from there. Jaheim White's development, the running back that did so well in the spring game. Jaheim has been here all spring, all summer, really came on probably the last 2 weeks of spring practice. He plays at a different gear than our other running backs. I don't mean that he's superior. He's just quicker, and his running style is much different than the other guys we have in the backfield. He's versatile. What does that tell you? That tells me he's going to be out in the slot. Let's go, Frank. What do you say about Jaheim White and his development?
Well, that's, again, a very hopeful sign, especially with that offensive line. That's running back's best friend, and you've got 3 guys there that are preseason all Big 12. That's really important. You got your veteran ready to go. I'm a believer. I know that defense is important, but for WVU out of the chute, we've got to see something out of that offense. And that's going to come from the skill guys. So this is, to me, is very hopeful.
Oh, very good. I like that. Al Johnson, what does that tell you, sir?
Hey, Wolf, you know what this tells me? You look at Rodney Gallagher and you look at this kid here. What I'm thinking is that in those 2 positions, you mentioned wide receiver, is there enough bodies to win with at a high level in the running back room? It tells me that maybe Coach Brown is trying to put some pressure on some of these upperclassmen, other guys in the room, to step up and compete at a higher level, because you got 2 young pups here who may be coming along, maybe still in some of your playing time.
No doubt about it. Hey, Fraley, what did Coach Al just said that, man? You got Jalen Anderson, who had 135 yards against Oklahoma State. Right. You have C.J. Donaldson, who was Mr. Freshman all-everything, who probably could be an All-American. And you got Justin Jump Cut Johnson. You ever see his jump cut? He looks like you, Fraley, in the hole. He's so, small and stuff. He jump cuts, and he's gone. He hits it, and he goes, man. What is that telling you?
Well, I think there's a room for all of them. Running backs, for sure. You need at least 3 or 4. And I like the idea of, say, putting some of them out in the slot, right? Get your best players on the field. I know, Wolfie, you'd like to see a lineman in the backfield and just pound it sometimes. And I'd like to see us go to that every now and then.
I'd like to see that on 4th and short. That's
Yes.
what I want to see. Go ahead and put a Doug Nestor in fullback and let him lead block and go ahead and hand the ball. Hey, how about this? How about getting underneath the quarterback over the center and get the quarterback exchange on that 3rd and 4th and inches? How about that? That's just my take. Shaheem White, we need more of them. That's what I say about it. Last one right here. What do we got? I'm looking up expectations for Kentucky defensive line transfer. I'm not even going to say his name. I'm going to just say his Big T, Big D. We'll call him TD, touchdown. All right, the expectation is he plays as far as how big a role. He'll determine that, but he's going to be given every opportunity to play. He's a body type that is hard to find. He's still developing. Lee, he's a young player, man, but boy, this WVU defensive line needs some help in at least numbers.
What does it take to run now a Division I team? At least 8 linemen, 6 linemen? You need 3 deep anymore?
I say you got to be 2 deep at each side.
At least 2 deep, right? And that's not even counting the injuries and other things. So I'm excited. And how do you learn, Wolf, to play? I guess at some of these positions, you get in there, right? Al puts the weight on them, and then they get the reps.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's what happened to me, and that's why I know how to put 14 pounds on in 2 months. All right, Frank Fear, talking about he's got a chance to get in rotation, man. That's because he's got a body. He's got all this. What he doesn't have right now is a lot of experience. What do we got to do with this guy?
Well, again, this is hopeful, and it's pretty obvious why, and that is we got to put more pressure than we did last year on the quarterback. We know we have issues in the defensive backfield, and the quarterbacks ran too free last year and were able to spot those guys down the field. And we've got some really good transfers coming in the defensive backfield. Trying to think of his name now, from Kent State, Monty, and I'm not remembering his. I'm not remembering his name.
All right, very good. Well, then let me go with this. Al Johnson, because you've done this before. Listen, I got a dude's got a lot of potential, a lot of opportunity. He's got the size. What can I do? I'm going to give you. I'm Neil Brown. You right now are Mike Joseph, and I'm saying get this guy ready to play some ball.
I tell you what, Mike, he's come in. He's got the frame, got the size. If he's got the drive, I mean, hey, we've all seen players that look like Tarzan and play like.
Somebody not Tarzan.
What's that?
Somebody not Tarzan for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you got a young player here. I mean, this guy's got unbelievable potential, and we know what potential means. I mean, but he's got a shot. But you need depth. You need. That's the thing I think that you look at in the Big 12. You look at any high level of competition. It's not just your 11 against their 11. It's the guys that if you can, especially on D line, if you can rotate some guys in and keep those guys fresher. You talk about your pass rush. You talk about your secondary. I mean, if those guys up front can stay fresher and can come in, and this guy's in rotation and give you quality reps, then it's going to make the whole defense better.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying to myself, son, get yourself ready. Don't rely on Mike Joseph. Rely on yourself and get up there and play ball like you're supposed to do. And that's it for the questions for the WolfMan's call. Gentlemen, you have been excellent. Any parting words there, Lee Fraley?
Well, you guys got to know that when you get out to Arizona, try to hopefully schedule games in the winter, but if it's the summer, we'll treat you just as well. I look forward to having you guys out here. Hopefully road trip. Wolf, you said you're coming to watch you guys in Roses. That's October.
Don't you think we're forgetting that now?
Oh, well, no, I know you're not forgetting, but I can't wait to see you guys back there for a game, and it would certainly welcome anybody out here in Arizona.
All right. Well, how can I argue that? How about you, Frank?
We were out for a game at Arizona State when Michigan State played them a couple of years ago, and I have a picture of it. Kickoff, a night game. It was 106. I remember that. That was hot. But the guy next to me said, "Hey, you guys are toast by the beginning of the second half," and he was right. But I think it's great, and that's what makes the excitement. Hey, there's a countdown now. It's August. Kickoff is coming in a couple of weeks, and I'll be blunt with you. Talking about the game itself to me is a hell of a lot more exciting than talking about the back office stuff, because that's what we're fans about. So I'm excited, and we got to beat Penn State and Pitt.
Yeah, I disagree though, because I think I'm as exciting as any game.
You're an exception, Wolf.
Oh, good laugh there, Al. All right, very good. What you got to say, Al?
Hey, I'm excited. Hey, the game's not played on paper. That's the greatest thing about this game. You know what? Hey, you know what? I want. You talk about fodder to feed the kids. I mean, in terms of mentally. I mean, geez, oh man, Hey, I want every season for players to come into the season with a chip on their shoulder. You know, everyone's already discounted them on Penn State's the greatest team and to ever play the game. Whatever, they're going to snipe us out in Beaver Stadium. But I'm excited. I just wish football lasted 11 months a year instead of just 6 it does. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be an exciting year, and I hope that all those people that jump on and off the bandwagon, I hope they go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy some extra tape for their ankles, so they don't sprain their ankles when they're jumping off the bandwagon this year.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. My take is this: if ASU stinks, I'm going to be like, oh, I told you. And if they're good, I'm jumping on the wagon, baby. I'm jumping on the wagon. I'm a Arizona devil, baby.
Hey, Wolf, what excites me most is this. Look at that.
Oh, you got the Wolf.
I've got my T-shirt on.
You got to sub up for it, man. The voice of college football, YouTube. We got our network there, man. We got it all. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you've given me today, coming through Tornado Alley, coming through a car crash. You guys stayed in there, Fraley. You did a good job. You're going to come back, aren't you?
Yeah, we got another conference change or something. We'll add more members.
Yes.
Back on.
Well, we'll go ahead and we'll see about that, brother. But I appreciate you, man, and
love you, brother.
Everything about you. And that Guns N' Roses, don't you forget it, because Slash is one bad dude. All right. Take care, fellas. God bless.
Right, take care. Good seeing you guys. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Have a great week.
You too.
All right. Well, that's big news for Monday. It was just an absolutely huge day. But you got to remember this too, though, is that the WolfMan's call is only 2 months old, and we're up over 35% in our viewings. From first 35, it was like 40% in the first month, and now we're 35% in the second month. We are just increasing. We're getting going. Parmar Stores, we love you. And now we got Northern Eagle Beverages, man, coming on here. We got Jimbo's Place, the network, Elkins, Buckhannon, and then of course you got Brickside Grille or Rob Davis down in Bridgeport. I'm gonna try this, man. Bridgeport and Fairmont, you got Steve Reese, the Mason Jar Barbecue, and more. And we head up to Morgantown and Cheat Lake. Let's go to Cheat Lake. Aaron Gizzy there at Legends Sports Bar and Grill at Lakeview, hitting those golf links. Morgantown, of course, Kegler's royalty, WV royalty. Kegler Sports Bar and Grill. And then we got the Mountaineer Tap House in Morgantown as well. Melissa, take care of her. She's an awesome, awesome person. And then we're going to go to Teays Valley. Make sure you tip the servers. We got Haley out there looking ready for that show coming out there beginning of the year. Audrey, good job. And we appreciate that. I think 24 craft beers. And then we go ahead and we move out to Route 22. 12 50-inch screen TVs. My gosh, man, that is just huge. Don't forget about Cantrell's. I see it, Cantrell's, down there in Hinton, West Virginia, man. We're so proud that you guys jumped on boat here. And I'm trying to think, is there anyone else? We got Jimbo's Place, both there. Okay, so Elkins, Buckhannon. I think that's it. What a big Monday, Big 12 expansion. It's good stuff, Big 10. Wow, crazy times, man. Hang on. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 o'clock, back from the Wolf's Den, coming at you. Today, guess what? We were here at Jimbo's Place, Buckhannon, grand opening, man. Thank you. The Northern Eagle Beverages, man. Huge. We appreciate it. Thank you to Jimmy Pointer right there from Jimbo's Place for letting us out here. That was awesome. And let's not forget. Go ahead, Jimmy. Help me out there. Woo! How about these babies right there? Jimbo's Place in Buckhead, West Virginia. Grand opening. Have a great day. WolfMan's call. Out! And we want hit that, baby.
Hi, I'm Traylon Davis. I'm from Jackson, Ohio, and when I'm back home, you will find me at my local Par-Mar store.
We have that gold and blue pride at your local Par-Mar store. We are coming to your neighborhood soon. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, we have you covered. Download the Par-Mar app and sign up for the Par-Mar Rewards Card. Food, gas, groceries, and more, we are gold and blue proud, and we are Par-Mar stores.
If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Stationers, #1 office supplier in West Virginia. Always in stock.
How many? The anywhere, anytime chargers, powering a connected world. Never buy AA batteries again. Rechargeable 500 times plus. Paul Mini AA USB lithium battery, as easy to charge as your cell phone. Sustainable energy. Stay charged. Go green, save green. Feel the power of Paul. Order now at paulmini.com.